don't let fear control you. A lot of the times we let our fears stop us from pursuing what we really want to do in life. Fear of disappointing our parents. So instead we listen to 100% of their advice, and we get into a career which we're really, really unhappy with. Or another example could be because of fear of being judged by others, we dress a certain way, or we speak or act a certain way without speaking the truth. But in the end, we are being fake with ourselves. We are not staying true to ourselves. But instead, we're just trying to satisfy others by playing a role. And a lot of us do play a role in society out of fear of being broke, So we get like a corporate job or a 9-to-5 job, and for some of us, we're happy with it. We're happy with the job. We're happy working an average job, making an average salary, and being able to pay for our family and for ourselves, and and we're okay with being a part of the system. But the thing is that the system is designed out of fear, right? To take advantage of people who are fearful of the future, right? If you have fear of being broke, you immediately start thinking about finding a job right away, right? In order to pay off your bills, in order to to not be homeless, to pay for your family, to support your family, to support yourself, right? But a lot of the times with fear, it's like it stops us from greater potential. If we decide to move past our fear of starting our own business, an online business or something, or whatever, opening up a restaurant or something like that, we have so many fears that go through our head, like, okay, it might not be stable income, all these expenses and the licensing fees, and we may not even become successful in that. We might lose a lot of money. A lot of fears go through our head, but it's more comforting to have a concrete job, right? But at the same time, with fear, we stop ourselves from truly gaining our potential in life. You know what I mean? If we let fear control us, we really just stay in like a bubble, a very comfortable bubble that has been created by society for us, that we even just create for ourselves. And I see this a lot with people too. I see it a lot with my friends and people that I just meet. You can tell that they're just in a very safe bubble. They're very comfortable. They're comfortable working a corporate job and just living like an average life, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like there's greater potential if you're able to just slightly do something that's uncomfortable, that's slightly fearful, that fear of losing, or a fear of being embarrassed, or fear of something could happen, something could go wrong, But a lot of us, we don't even pursue things that are fearful at all, like 0%. We're just stay in a very comfortable bubble. We don't want to live abroad. We just want to stay locally due to the fear of maybe potentially being lonely, or not understanding the language, or potentially being lost in another country, or dealing with a conflict by ourselves in another country and not knowing how to deal with it. Maybe the fear of trying to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but we're afraid that we're going to get rejected, or we fear that person's not going to like us, so we give up. We give up on trying to find a life partner. A lot of us may give up on just going to university because we have a fear that we may go into severe debt, or we fear that whatever program that we're doing is going to be a waste of money, and we won't get into our field. there's so much fear out there, but a lot of it is just fabricated within the confines of our mind. And with fear, things that are fearful, there's a lesson to be learned. But we choose to be on the comfortable side. We don't choose to be on the edge. You know. With fear, on another aspect, people who are skydivers, people who do bungee jumping, people who live on, who like adrenaline, a little bit of the adrenaline junkie type of thing, right? Yes, there is a fear of you dying when you do these types of activities. But there's also a sense of freedom. There's also a sense of being in the present moment. There's also an immense sense of joy that you get from doing these activities that you can't get from anything else. And when you do these activities, it opens up your mind to so much possibility. It makes you more confident individual. If you're afraid of getting into a confrontation or fight with somebody, how are you going to defend yourself or defend your family against an intruder? You know, if in order to push past that fear of getting hurt in a fight, you need to train. You need to be able to learn a martial art in order to protect yourself. But it's a very uncomfortable thing to do because you're going to get hit. You may get injured during training, but at least if you keep doing it over time, you're going to start developing confidence in yourself. And there are lessons to be learned from it. So fear comes in all shapes and sizes. That's essentially what I'm trying to explain. Fear can come from this, we just create the fear, or there can also be fear of maybe actually losing your life. A lot of hikers that go do these extreme hikes on Mount Everest and K2 mountain, you know, they are risking their lives, but there's also a sense of joy, freedom, and confidence that you get when you actually perform these activities that you can't get from anything else. You gotta be uncomfortable in order to be comfortable, if that makes any sense. I feel like we have to deserve comfort by being uncomfortable first. But nowadays we just get comfort without earning it. You know, comfort's always there for us. We got a nice warm bed. We got all the food that's available for us. We can get a nice 9 to 5 job with all the benefits and all that type of stuff. We can communicate with people online instead of face to face because it's easier. We can gain a fix of, you know, releasing our seed by masturbating off dirty videos because it's easier than actually approaching someone to develop a relationship with or potentially become intimate with, because it requires effort. It requires you to be uncomfortable. It requires some time. But a lot of us, we just seek immediate pleasure, man. A lot of us just seek to be in this comfortable environment, and it's getting worse. It's come to a point where even the news, you know, we start listening to the news about all these wars that are happening around the world, which is absolutely devastating. I understand that. It's devastating. But then it creates a fear in our heads of traveling to even just other countries that are actually safe. When we look at the news, we just have this, over time, we start believing that, you know what, the country that I'm in right now, there's no better country than where I am right now. You know, there's no safer country than where I am right now. But guess what? Your life could still be at stake. A war could still happen in the country that you're living in right now, even if you think it's safe. But there are so many other beautiful places out there in the world that you can go to that are actually safe. But we instill this fear, and the thing is, the fear in our head, it increases over time. We really start gaining, it's like a virus, it starts spreading. You know? It's really terrible, man, how fear works. You know? Fear needs to be understood more. We need to be more aware of when we feel this sense of fear. You know? When you are face to face with a freaking bear in the wild, yes, you're gonna feel fear. Yes, you're gonna have the fight or flight response for sure. You might even just be frozen, right? That's a different kind of fear. But a lot of the times we just create fabricated situations that stop us from gaining our true potential. We come up with so many excuses. You know what, man? forget it. I ain't gonna start my own business because it just requires too much work. And why do I think that I'm gonna be the one out of 10,000 people out there that are gonna become successful off it? What makes me think that I can do that? Now you're just putting yourself in a certain. Now you're limiting your potential because of that mentality, and that comes from fear. You know what? Talking to girls is a waste of time. Forget it, man. You know what, man? I'll just stay single for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely fine. But you're doing it out of fear. Your rationale is out of fear. Fear of being heartbroken. Fear of being rejected. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna just stay at home and play video games instead of interacting with real people because interacting with real people, it just requires a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of my energy and effort. But I can just talk to people online. You definitely can, and there's definitely nothing wrong with it. But if you do it too much, you're gonna start creating this fear in your head of socializing with people. You might get social anxiety because you're spending too much time online talking to people. When I was younger, I used to be so fearful of what people thought of me. I would say certain things and create certain lies about myself to other people so I could feel validated or part of the group. I used to lie that I was from a certain country, so that people wouldn't judge me from where I'm from. I would apply for jobs that are like very, very entry level positions, but without me applying for jobs where I may seem underqualified for, but that I could potentially get the job for, out of fear of being rejected. But here's what happened to me. Once I started applying for a lot of jobs that I was a little bit unqualified for, I started getting calls from them, responses. And my hope was coming up. My hope was going, oh wow, they're actually responding and they're trying to give me an interview. So I go for these interviews all prepared. And I feel like I winged the interview. I did so well on the interview. That's the feeling that I got. I knew how to answer all the questions. I never hesitated. I had the right... I was dressed well. I was punctual. I answered all the questions with details, with like realistic examples from my past. And then a couple of days later, I get a notification on my email. Oh, sorry, but we found another candidate. That hurt me, man. That actually did hurt me because I was so excited to get that job. And I got rejected. But the thing is, that didn't happen once. That happened multiple times. For jobs that I was really, really excited, careers that I was really excited to get into. But I didn't get the job. And that broke me for a while. I was then fearful of applying for jobs anymore. I stopped applying for jobs and I just started applying for jobs that were just basic, entry-level positions that were giving me like minimum wage. Because I became comfortable again, and I didn't want to deal with the fear of being rejected once more. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I was sick and tired of it. I still have memories 10, 15 years ago of going to like a party and asking a particular girl out or telling her she's cute or do you want to dance with me, and she said no to me. And some of them said no to me in a very rude way, and I'll never forget it because I felt so rejected from it. But then after that, it kind of changed my view. I kind of felt a little bit hesitant to approach women, but eventually I kept getting rejected. And I was like, you know what? And I realized at some point I was frustrated with myself. I said, you know what? Fuck it. And what's another rejection going to do it to me anyway? So I kept trying and talking to girls, and eventually I was able to get a girlfriend at the gym by talking to her. By not giving up, by not letting my fear of being rejected control me. So guys, please, the point of this video is that don't let fear take over your life, because I know that all of you have great potential inside of you to achieve things if you don't let fear control you. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.